Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It depends on from where you are joining the program. Welcome to Big Bang Data Science Solutions Ramadan program. This is uh, you know uh, data science for good. Thank you so much again for participating in the program. Thank you so much for donating to whatever community you belong to. Thank you for helping the family in need, and that is the purpose of this program is to help to share our fortune with those in need and also take an advantage of it to learn data science for free. So this is our session number two. In session number one, we talked about some basics about the about data science in general. We talked about the data explosion. We talked about what is data science. We learned a little about the data science process, data science workflow, data science, day-to-day activities. We learned about the importance of learning data science. We learned about why we really should invest in learning data science. And as a matter of fact, says here 80% of companies will adopt intelligent automation by 2025. There's 80% chance you will end up losing your job. 80% chance you will end up losing your job regardless of the industry you are working for. Unfortunately, this is not my word. This is the word of the experts. So everything on our daily basis could be automated. So that is something that we talked about yesterday. The data science is stealing jobs for us. So we have to prepare. We have to be ready for that. We have to transitions. We are experiencing the fourth industrial revolution, and data science is that, or machine learning, artificial intelligence is that revolution. So we need to adapt. We need to learn how to adapt. We need to switch the gear. We need to invest in learning data science. Otherwise, here is the risk: 80% of the companies will adopt intelligent automation by 2025. That simply tells us that there is a risk, high risk, that we will end up losing our job sometime in the future. So please invest in learning data science. There are a lot of resources online that you can go after. If you have money, you have time, go for an associate. Probably some schools they are providing associate in data science. If you could do the bachelor's, you could do masters, you could even do a PhD in data science. So you got to do it before it's too late. So, of course, if you want to be trained for our master's program, we'll definitely help you with that as well. We have two programs that are coming up soon. One is designed for the executive and leaders and decision makers. It's 15 weeks. And another one is the master one is a 30-week program, starts in August all the way to March of 2022. And that is 5 times a week, 3 hours per session, and almost 8 months. Okay, so that is something we talked about yesterday, in introduction to data science and analytics. Yes, and we also talked about the type of analytics. We talked about the descriptive type of analytics, predictive, diagnostic, and prescriptive. So since we are using Python for the program, and we decide to add this session about a crash course in Python. And of course, we are not going to cover Python end to end. We are simply going to show you few things, how to navigate through Jupyter Notebook, so you can be familiar with it, preparing you for I believe the data understanding session, where we are going to have to deal with the data. We'll learn how to read the data into Jupyter Notebook, and we'll start. We start analyzing the data, pre-processing the data, preparing the data for the modeling to come to come later in the program. So we are not going to use Jupyter Notebook for next session, which is going to be next Saturday, but we are going to use it for the following session, which is going to be next Saturday. So I'm going to leave this. I'm going to switch the floor to Ed. Ed, please go ahead and start sharing your screen. And at the meantime, I'm gonna put a Jupyter notebook on the Dropbox. Those who have already downloaded the files from Dropbox, please go ahead and re-download. I give me 5 minutes. You are gonna see a Jupyter notebook in there. Okay, thank you guys. I'm myself and Ed. All is yours.
Okay, folks, I'm going to take control of the screen. If I keep looking that way, that's my second monitor. Yeah, here we go. Canvas. By the way, this is used in a lot of high schools and colleges and other places that need like some kind of management of their learning system. That's giving out stuff, doing announcements, all kind of resources, books, flyers, code, slides, all that stuff. Yeah, so I'm an admin, so I see a lot of stuff. By the way, your color might not be this. You can control the color. If you like all blues, you can kind of give it a little tint. Just play with this enough. But here's mine for this course. And right, this is the first time. So you want to use Canvas as your launching pad to get everything. The big thing is the modules. Modules are 1 week. Well, we do modules is 1 week. So this is module that is week 1, session 2. So here we go. Course outline, course orientation. I'm sorry. And I minimized it because I don't feel like looking at this. So once you get done with a module a week, you can close it, not close it, but minimize it. That way you don't have to look at it. So this is the expand collapse. And you can see I did it all. As I did it, as I do things, I get a checkbox, a green checkbox. So you have all of that. I'm not looking at that anymore. So if you have some grayed out options here, well, if you haven't completed all of the above, these will be grayed out. Okay, and yes. So here's week 1, session 1. This is the stuff from yesterday or the previous session. And it will contain roughly like a little bit about what happened, but also the video. And yeah, there it is. And you can play it. Okay, sounds great. If I want to go back, I can. I can go right to the mods or jump to all the other ones. This I with the class, with the cross, you don't see them. So you see announcements, discussions, and modules, and home and grades. That's what you see right now. So I'm gonna. You saw week 1, session 1, which was yesterday. But the important thing is the top link for each week will go to a Dropbox. All the stuff you need for that. Materials. No, they're not enabled, so I'm not going to show you what's there. So you can't get to them regardless. We're in week 1. So week 1 training materials. Here's week 1 training materials. If you click on it, it'll take you to our Dropbox, which will have only week 1 training materials. So it'll tell you training materials. It'll take you to our Dropbox for week one's training material. Now, there's going to be 2 files that we need for today. I have no idea what it's doing so long, but you could be hitting a lot of people. So here's what we're going to be doing today. Right now, it's, oh, by the way, there were, most of these files were here yesterday, but we just added this one, the 2-BBDS- crash course in Python programming, and these are the slides. So we're going to play with the slides right now. Mo's putting the Jupyter notebook file up there. So you can see it's the PDF. That's the PDF version of the slides. We're going to talk about the slides right now in the sense of what's happening in Python that we need to know, at least to get us started with Python. So this is the crash course in Python programming slides. There will be another file in about 5 minutes. Mo's putting it out there, okay? So that's the Dropbox. Now, how did we get that? Well, we
Okay,
got that.
sorry for interrupting. Yeah, the file is there. The first one, BBDS Python crash course. That is the file that you need for the. Yeah, go back. Yeah, just go back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did a refresh.
yeah, the first one.
Is there?
Yeah, the first file. Yeah.
Oh, there. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Sorry. And so here, I'll do this. Okay. So you see these files out there in a Dropbox. If you want to download them, what can you do? You click it, click whatever you want to download, and you can click download right here. So it's only downloading this one file. You could click all of them, and it's a Dropbox. If you can do it in Google Drive, you can do it here. It's just a different interface. I want to download everything. So if it download everything, you're getting a zip of all of these. Okay. But how about if I just want to download the PDF? So I'll download the PDF. And this is, I'm sorry. You got to get very familiar with your browser. Okay. If you're doing anything nowadays online, you need to be pretty aware of how your browser works. I'm using the Google Chrome browser, so it put it somewhere. Well, okay, we'll talk about that. But I also want to download this one. I'm doing one at a time because I'm only downloading 2 files. I don't feel like about doing a zip or anything right now. So I'm going to download the IPYNB. So Jupyter Notebook has this extension, IPYNB. So if you ever hear of IPython Notebook, that's it. That's a predecessor name. So they kept the extension, IPYNB. So you want to download both of these files, folks. If you missed one, you probably missed this one. Okay? It only got out there at 10:31. Right, 3-4 minutes ago. So, folks, download both of these. Okay? So remember, back again. When a module is a week, okay? In this course, there's 2 sessions a week. Okay? So what you'll see in a module is it's getting there. It's getting there. It's a little, yeah. This is so here we go. I was just waiting. So here we go. There's always the week training materials. It goes to Dropbox and it gets you all the resources, okay, for that week. There's week 1, session 1. That was yesterday. This is week 2, session 2, intro to Python and Jupyter Notebook. And I'm just going to click on it. So there's roughly what we're going to talk about. Very rough. Okay. And you may have seen those words somewhere else. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Jupyter Notebook. I guess we're going to talk about Canvas also, but we're done talking about Canvas. We're going to talk about Jupyter Notebook. Like, how do you deal with it? Okay, lovely. After we're going to kind of do that all day, all session. But what are we going to do in the sense of Python? We're going to talk about data types, operators, conditionals, and functions. Okay? And this kind of stuff happens in all languages. Python is not special for these things because we're just starting. Okay? So, in a few hours, there will be a video of us right here. Okay? So right now, it's sort of halfway there because we're in the session right now. So that's Canvas. Okay? Now remember, download those 2 files. Those 2 files. So I'm in a browser, and this I'll do this ahead of time. I'll pre-download this stuff, okay? But this is the first time because we didn't know about Canvas and a few other things. So I downloaded it from. Okay, everything's in Canvas. It has links to the video files. It has links to Dropbox, which are all file stuff. So I'm going to do, I'm just lazy. Where did it put it? Well, this is Chrome. Where did it put these 2 files? Now, by default, almost every browser puts it in the downloads directory. So I'm in the downloads directory, and there they are. And I'm just lazy. I'll just say, just go there. Okay? Just go right to the folder. Oh, sorry, folks. It's on the other screen. So there they are. And I guess I downloaded the PDF like hundreds of times. So here we go. Right. So the question is, what do you do with these files? Well, the PDF is the slides. Yeah, we'll be looking at the slides, but where do you put that Jupyter Notebook file? Now, I'm going to suggest to you some good practices. You could put them anywhere you want. I suggest you don't put them on your desktop because there will be truckloads of files showing up on your desktop because this is a standalone Jupyter Notebook. It doesn't need anything else. Doesn't need pictures, doesn't need data files. We will get there. And this is data science. You will have a lot of data from files, from other places. Stop putting them on the desktop or in your downloads directory. So stop putting them here. The question is, where is a good place? Okay, and where is a good place? Well, I strongly suggest this. Now, I'm just going to open up another window, another file manager equivalent. I'm going to do it the way the PC folks have to do it. So I'm going to go to my hard disk, and there's my hard disk right here versus the network. I'm going to go to my hard disk, your C drive. Okay, folks, put it in your users directory. Your users directory. What's best about that is, what if there's 3 people using a computer? Start thinking bigger. Think cloud computing. You don't want to put everything in one place, especially if you don't want anyone to see your code or your proprietary data or anything. Put stuff in your directory, your user directory. So remember, we're data scientists. Privacy is big. Compliance and everything. It's not just having fun. There's a lot of legal stuff and ethics, and yes, ethics. So here we go. I strongly suggest you put stuff in your users directory. So if you're on the Mac guys can follow along, but almost every operating system has this equivalent. Go to your root directory, C:\users. Okay. And whatever you logged in as. So that's what I log in as. So you'll be /users/ whatever your name is. We're going to set this up right. So you can see right here, that's the Python for Kids class. This is all the stuff we've done. We're in like month 8 now. So there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah. No, nothing is here. So this is all the different kind of courses we had. So this is what I strongly suggest you do. Create a directory. What? Oh. Create a directory, or folder, whatever you want to call it, and give it a good name for this course. Everything for this course will be under here if you're nice and you do things organized. It makes sense. Okay? So give it a name that makes sense to you. So I'm going to call, I usually put the year in front, folks. I don't know if you caught me. See these years, month, day, year? I do year, month, day. Sometimes it's a day presentation. Sometimes it's a 2-day presentation. So I give it names like that. And here I lost it. So I'm going to create another folder. And I'm going to say 2021, and it's BBDS. Data science for good. Okay, I'll slow down and type it correctly. So you might see some titles out there. Data science for good 21. That's our WhatsApp group name, but you can. I guess the formal name is 2021, right? Because we've offered this before, but this is the first one in 2021. So here it is. That's a nice name. No one cares about this name. Just give it a good name so you can search for it later. Okay? And of course, it sorted it. And there.
Quick question. How did you create the folder in there? For some reason, I don't see the create folder option.
Where, in the Mac or PC?
In the Mac.
Oh, do Shift Shift Command N. That says create a new folder.
Shift Command and what?
So Command N says give me a new window. Shift Command N says give me a new folder here, wherever you're at. Shift Command N, like Nancy. Yeah, I just did it. I did Shift Command N.
And for some reason, it's not working. It doesn't give you the option to add folder.
You got to create a folder. No, you don't have to create a folder. Just put it on the root and figure it out later. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you got to get pretty good at your operating system. And on top of that, we'll learn later. You got to know a little bit about Unix. A little, very little. Okay. So here we go. It's here it is right here, right there. And I'm going to expand that directory, and there's nothing there. Right now, there's nothing there. Well, there better be not be anything there. I just created it. Okay, the other thing is, here's my other window, and it's in my downloads directory. Please don't leave stuff in your downloads directory. Okay. So here we go. This is the PDF of the slides, and this is the notebook file, and that's all we need today. Okay. So get these directly, and you say why, oh why. First of all, for sanity, to find these things later, and later you can even create subdirectories under here if you whatever makes you happy. Okay, so that's it for now. Okay, so get these in a subdirectory somewhere. Strongly suggested you put it into your eBoojack. The reason is Jupyter Notebook will put you in a home directory by default. Because that makes sense 99.9% of the time. It really does. Jupyter Notebook will put you its starting directory, your home directory. That's why it's called the home directory. You're logged in as eBoojack, your home directory is users/eBoojack. Please, that's my little intro to Unix and other things.
Hey, Ed, sorry for interrupting again. Someone is asking to please slow down a little bit. I know, but the way it is,
Okay, we won't get to all our Python stuff, but okay. So this is just a best practice, folks. You're going to be you work for one company. I doubt if you're going to be working on one project. Say you're working on 3 projects. Please separate them. You might have one computer, but please separate those in different directories. However you do it. Now, some companies will have rigid naming conventions. Yeah, you got to live with that. Because there's many reasons. But, so what did I do? Big view of life. I went to Canvas. Canvas is the place to go for, like if you're in a course. In there will be everything you need. Just got to find it. Well, our videos are posted on whatever the session is. So yesterday's video is posted on week 1, session 1. Right now, this video will be posted in week 1, session 2. Great, I got the videos. Well, where do I find the files, the slides, the images, the data sets? That will be in the first link in the week. So if it's week 1, you'll see week 1. What is it called? Something materials. So you can go there and it'll go right to the Dropbox. You'll have everything you need for that week. Files. Okay, slides, pictures, ebooks, cheat sheets. They're coming. Anything that makes sense for that week. Okay, for that week. Okay, so you got the files, but running like the PDF. Can you view a PDF? Sure, you can view a PDF anywhere, anywhere. Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, anywhere. But can you run code? That's magical. Not all platforms allow you to run code. I'm not talking about Python. I'm not talking about it's a Jupyter notebook file. I'm talking about running programming code. Most platforms do not allow you to run the file, the programming, the software on their platform, but they allow you to save the file. Sure, you can save Python files, you can save IPYNB files, you can save all kind of language files everywhere. But when you click on it, it says, I can't read this. I don't know what to do with an IPYNB file, because that Dropbox doesn't know what to do with an IPYNB file. Just like it doesn't know what to do with a .abc file. I just invented it because it says, I don't know what an ABC file. But when you click on a PDF, it works because it's so pervasive. PDFs are everywhere. Jupyter Notebook files are getting to be everywhere. These IPYNB files, they're showing up everywhere. We'll do that maybe in an off session, but some of these sharing file platforms allow you to run Jupyter Notebook files right out there in the cloud. A lot of different issues, but we just got to get past like, let's just get it to work. So what did we do? Well, we had to download it. Since we can't run IPYNB files in most places out there, you got to download it locally. There are many reasons you want to run things locally. The big reason is you are in ultimate control. You can change anything. Anything. Locally. Okay? So you got to download it. So we downloaded it from Canvas. It went to whatever directory you have when you download things from whatever browser you have. You have to figure out your browser. I have on my Windows machine, I swear, about a little less than 20 different browsers, not versions. And there are reasons I want them, but that's when I do my Windows work. But yeah, I am a Chrome kind of person. You will want to use Chrome, but we don't do that exercise in this class. When we do web scraping, don't worry about it. But figure out how to use your browser. When you click and download a file, where does it go? You have to know that. You have to figure it out. And if you don't know, just search on your directory of your entire hard disk and say, you downloaded a file called cats.abc. Well, go find it and memorize that location in your head. Where did it go? Because that's where all of your files will go. Well, put the file into a place that makes sense. So organize yourself. You should put things. It's a strong suggestion. You could do anything you want. You could rename the file any way you want. You could do anything you want. You're going to have a lot of files. Please organize yourself to whatever makes sense for you. What I strongly suggest is put it into your users / your name you logged in as. So when you click on users, so I went right to my hard drive. I'm into Alice in Wonderland. So a lot of Alice in Wonderland references. So this is my this is my solid state drive on this machine. I go there, and this is the root directory. You should not have a lot of stuff here. Yeah, I only have 4 directories. Okay, you might have a little more in there, but I'm going to go to my users directory. Yeah, there's only one person who used this machine. That is true. You might have, your brothers, your sisters, your sons and daughters, your husband, wife in here also, if you shared a computer. Okay, so that's me. Well, what's under there? Tons of stuff. And I go really crazy with the year, month, day. So I can search on day, date. I could search on, show me all the directories that have nothing to do with pandas. No, that's coming. I want to show everything that has to do with parsing. I want that whole Big Bang Data Science Batch 3 Python course. There it is. When it started, when it ended, there's everything that happened in that Batch 3 course under that. please make directories that make sense to you. So I just made this directory. Name it anything you want. I like these names. Just don't have to follow that convention. You can do anything. So I called it Data Science for Good 2021. Yeah, sounds great. Okay, there are the two files right now. Okay, the PDF, which is the PDF version of the slides, and then the Jupyter Notebook file. Remember. So there we are, right there. Okay. So I'm going to open up the slides. Remember, this is like File Manager. It doesn't matter. It's just something to navigate your file directory structure of your machine. So I'm going to open up the PDF, which I'm going to open up the slides, I guess. What's nice about opening up PDFs, they're really fast. If this were a PowerPoint, it would take some time. But, you know, and by the way, you're not editing it anyway, so please, I want fast. So remember, we're playing with the slides right now. We're not playing, we're just viewing them. We're not playing them. Well, so this is going to be really, really quick, folks. I'm going to glance over a lot of them, especially if it's something you can read on your own. Remember, we're here to get a quick review of Python. Remember, Python, okay? Why Python? Python is one of the two pervasive programming languages that are used in data science, machine learning, deep learning, reinforcement learning, anything along that AI stuff. Python and R, the letter R, capital R, actually it is a capital R, programming language. So there's Python and R. This course is Python focused because we only have a limited time. You can't do everything. So the question is, why Python? Python is very easy to code with. A lot of people say it's almost readable. That's true. And it's intuitive too. It's very orthogonal. So once you learn something, and then you learn something, and then there's this new idea, it's like, it's probably just like that. And you type it in and it works. So you don't have all these exceptions handling. You don't have all these exceptions going on. A lot of languages, like you do this way, and then you do this way, and you do this way, and you do this way. It's like you have 150 different ways to do different things. Python will say there's only two ways. Yeah, there's 150 things, but you do it two ways. Oh, good. I'm very generalized. I only have to know two different things, two, algorithms, two methodologies to solve something. That's why Python is so much, it's used everywhere. Now, Python is a general purpose language. That's also true. So you heard the word automation. That is true. Python is interpreted. Okay, there's two different big breaks in computer languages. One's interpreted, one's compiled. Interpreted language, some people will call them scripts. Yeah, you give it the code itself, and it will sit there and run it. And we say run. Whereas the other ones are compiled. So it has to run through a lot of stuff and compile it and do this, and you execute those. So Python's interpreted. So it's a scripting language. So that's why it's used in automation. Python is used in a lot of places. Okay. So program is the code you write. Programming is the process of writing the program. I don't know. It's like, here we go. Let's move on. These are some things you'll attribute to Python, and you'll say, well, you missed a few. Yeah, we can have a lot of description or adjectives to describe Python, but it's open source. What's that mean? Pretty much it's supported by a user community, and usually when you get a bunch of people developing it, okay, not the government, you get a bunch of normal people developing something, they do better because you got a lot more heads working on it, and they will sit there and argue back and forth about what's better. And guess what comes out? The best solution. But also, open source means free. How much do you pay for Python? $0. We'll talk about some other languages like no names mentioned. You'll have to pay for it. Okay? It's also general purpose. It's not meant for data science. It's not meant for automation. It's not meant for. It's meant to be everything. It's can be used everywhere, and it is. Okay, it's used in cybersecurity too. Well, yeah. High level. What's that mean? There's different kind of categories of languages. Very low level, or very high level, or somewhere in between. High level means you write something that looks more like a language, like your native language. We're programming in English, okay? So the Python we see will be English. So sometimes I download some stuff and it's kind of cool because it's German-like. The Python, I could see the Python special word, but everything else is German. But I could fill in between because I know a little bit about German. So it's really neat when you get this high level stuff. You can almost read it in your language, okay? So it's more the way a human would think. When you deal with low-level languages, you worry about all the nitty-gritty of your machine. And the bad part of the low-level languages is someone says, "Oh, we got a new computer. You got to rewrite everything from scratch." High-level language, you don't have to write any. Well, probably like 0.0001% of the code changes. That's it. Well, what's that mean? That means to get it running on a different machine, a different operating system, different hardware, might take 2 people 1 day. Bingo, it's up and running on the other machine. Which means, time is money and all that other kind of stuff. So you want to be able to port stuff to other things. Python does that for you. Okay. Jupyter Notebook. There are many ways you can code. So I've answered a few people with WhatsApp. Can I use Visual Studio? Sure. Can I use this? Sure. What you don't want to use if you're a programmer, you don't want to use things like, I don't want to hear it, Notepad. I don't want to hear that you're using Microsoft Word or anything that sounds like a document editor. No, it doesn't give you any features that a programmer wants. Worst of all, you can't feed it. You can't run it. Where's the button that says run my code inside Microsoft Word? So, don't have to use Jupyter Notebook, but please, you better find a programming editor that you like. The reason Jupyter Notebook is so pervasive, so even if you don't use it, pay attention when we do the Jupyter Notebook because there is so much stuff out there done in Jupyter Notebook. When you go out searching the internet for stuff, they will give you sometimes Jupyter Notebook files, blah, 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 .ipynb files. Why is that important? Well, if you don't know what to do with your .ipynb file, it's so if you get anything from today, look, I got a .ipynb file. I know what to do with it. Yeah, put it somewhere and launch Jupyter Notebook and say, Jupyter Notebook, run this, don't run, open this ipynb file, and then you could do things with it. Well, so what's good about Jupyter Notebook is phenomenal for teaching and learning. So you're learning, but more importantly, it lets you explore and experiment real easy. You could just open up, it's called a cell, open up a little area, start typing, and it'll do wonderful things for you if you type correctly. But we're data science folks. Are we going to be experimenting and exploring a lot? Oh, yes, you will. So that's why Python allows that real easy exploration and introspection, like searching yourself. Like when you introspect, you're thinking about yourself. Python allows you to ask about Python, number one. Second of all, when you use Jupyter Notebook, it allows you to do a lot of exploratory type work. Data scientists, machine learning folks are doing that 90% of the time. So you want an environment that lets you do that. Jupyter Notebook is great. Now, Jupyter Notebook can also run multiple languages. Okay? When you downloaded this thing called Anaconda Distribution, which has come out nice, packing together 99% of what a data science machine learning person would use. Like the first year person would use. There's people way out there doing special stuff, and you will hardly have to import anything special because you downloaded the Anaconda distribution. What did Anaconda distribution give you? Well, it gave you the Jupyter Notebook, number one, already tuned with the Python kernel. So when you download the Anaconda distribution meaning it has a bunch of stuff in it. It has a Jupyter Notebook file, Jupyter Notebook app, but it already has the Python in it. So the Jupyter Notebook file, right off the bat, knows how to deal with Python, right out of the box. But it also has the advanced stuff that data science, machine learning people need. So what's that do? I don't know. If it saves you a lot of time. I have to, I'm going to avoid the word, I'm going to install this program to do graphing. I'm going to install this program to do number crunching. I'm going to install this program to do a lot of stuff with data sets. I'm going to install. It's too much time. Anaconda distribution gave you those already. So we like Python because it's cool. If you're programming, hey, Python's a programming language. Get a programming environment or editor that deals with programming that language. Well, Jupyter Notebook knows how to deal with Python. Yeah, cool. Well, what's so good about that? It allows you to play and explore. That's what we want when we're teaching or learning, but also data science folks use it a lot. Okay, so that's it. And so that was just a lot there going on there. Just for trivia, Jupyter Notebook, I think right now, Last High Tech supports around 53 different languages. Well, you have to teach Jupyter Notebook I need to do something with Haskell. Yeah, so you have to learn. So you find out how in Jupyter Notebook to teach it about the Haskell language. Very easy. Very easy. But you don't have to do that. Anaconda distribution already taught it about Python kernel. So it knows how to deal with Python. Okay, no problem. The other thing about Jupyter Notebook which is making it insanely, you'll see it pop up in a lot of places because it doesn't install much on your computer. So if you install it on your computer, it didn't put much there because it runs in a browser, which makes it real easy to run on other computers. Okay, that's just a heads up. So here we go. So when you launch Jupyter Notebook, you get the dashboard. Now there's a little right there. It's hard to see that, and it is really hard to see even if it's full screen. It's a house. That's your home directory. So if you're cool, you'll see things in here like your desktop folder. You'll see things like your downloads directory. Your what else is there? Maybe your photos directory in your home directory. And you'll say, yeah, it's your desktop. Yeah, it's your downloads directory. And by the way, it's your BBDS Data Science for Good 2021 in here also. You'll see it. Okay. Now, so these are all folders or files. That's a folder, file. Okay. In the top right, this is how you create. There's two ways to get new files. One is you just type, you don't type, you click the new button up here in the top right. And when you hit the drop down, it'll give you all the languages you have. But other things, like what other things might you want to do with a new one? Well, I might want a new folder. I might want a new text document. I might want a new whatever. And so there'll be maybe 6 or 7 in here, like what you'll have. Okay. But what if I don't want to create a new one? I want to upload something. Now, there's an alternative way. You can also do the upload. So it'll do an upload, and it'll say, point me to the directory where you want to upload from. And you can say, oh, go to the downloads directory and get that 1-BBDS, whatever the file name, .IPYNB. So there's many ways to do many things. I just like to put it into the home directory, the Jupyter Notebook file. But you can also upload it right here, and it'll come up with a dialog. It says, what file do you want me to upload? And you'll say, navigate to the downloads directory and get that Jupyter Notebook file. Yeah, sorry. So that's the dashboard, and it gets really involved. It's not 5 files or 5 items. Okay? So once you open up some kind of coding file, so when you say new or you get a file, if I were to click on one of these things, it's going to get away from the dashboard and it's going to launch the Jupyter Notebook on that file. Now the question is, they're always .IPYNB files. Remember this. Jupyter Notebook files are always .IPYNB files. The question is, what is the language? So each notebook will have a default language. Yes, in the middle of nowhere, I can switch languages in here. Leave it alone. We'll get to it way advanced. We'll do it on the side if we want. I could jump right into JavaScript. I could jump right into HTML. I could jump right into other ones. So see, it says Python in the top right. It says Python default, because this file called Jupyter's interface prerequisites for coding .IPYNB file. So there's these rectangular regions. Now these are called cells. So yeah, rectangular region, just like Excel has rectangular regions. These are also called cells. And this rectangular region, there's 2 kinds of cells. And then there's an output cell. Go right to this one. So if you don't get excited about this Python yet. This is, if you know any programming language, it's just like, yeah, this is not that hard. You can probably figure out what x equals square bracket 1, 2, 3, 4 square bracket. It's like, it's a bunch, and I'm sparing the words. It seems to be a bunch of integers. It seems to be 4 of them. Okay, sounds good. If you say any of that, you're in good shape. And I assigned it to a variable x. And I said, give me print out x. Well, this doesn't say print out, but it says show me x. So you defined x to be a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, and you said, show it to me. So this actually requires an output cell. So it will only produce output cell. Okay, I'm sorry. Jupyter Notebook will only produce output cells if it makes sense. And that's what you did. You said, here's an X. Show it to me. And there's an output cell. Now, it's also important to note when you do input and output cells, this is an input cell. You see square brackets with nothing in it? Square brackets with nothing in it. Square brackets with nothing in it. The moment you run a cell, it will assign an integer in here. And the numbers start at 1 and keep going up. So if I ran the cell again, it would say in 2, out 2. If I ran the cell again, it would be in 3, out 3, ad infinitum. And they don't have to go from top to bottom, which is really impressive. So remember, there's cells, so rectangular regions. There's input cells and output cells. If the input cell has something that requires an output cell, it will produce an output cell. Jupyter Notebook will produce an output cell. Any questions so far about input-output cells? They're real important. Oh, you run cells. You run a cell. So I don't care what language is in here, what computer language is in here, or if it's HTML, or I'm sparing you a lot of words. Nice typeset stuff that looks really nice, like equations that are real easy to get to. Now remember, we're data science folks. We will see equations, not crazy hard ones. But we need to know how to read equations. And it would be nice if I could put my equations, my pictures, everything in a cell. Well, you can put it in 1 cell, 2 cells, 7 cells. It doesn't matter. What's so cool about anything that sounds like a notebook? Remember, IPython notebook was not the first group of folks to use a notebook. So IPython notebook evolved into Jupyter. Now, Jupyter, okay, and it's not Jupiter. Everyone says Jupiter, but it's not. Anyway, JU stands for a language called Julia. PY, I hope I don't have to tell you what that stands for. The R stands for that R language that I mentioned. And the TR, they just put it in there to make it work. So this, they just did this because they had to name it something. And Julia is Python. It's derived from Python. So if you know Python, moving to Julia is pretty cool. But Julia is supposedly Python killer, but it hasn't come out that way. But R, remember, Julia is a language. It's a mathematician. Python, not a snake. And R is the R language. That's what Jupyter stands for, okay? And so people who want to use something that isn't a notebook will have issues. What if you hear I say, produce me a chart? Well, my question is, where's that chart going? Well, if I have a text editor, it isn't going here. Remember, it's a chart. It's a very nice graphic with hopefully lines and X and Y axes that make sense to something you like. Where is that chart? Well, it's not in the file. What's nice about a notebook file, I give you one file. Everything is there, right there. My equations that I use to derive my thing, here's my equation, here's the code that implemented the equations, and here's the graph that came out of it in one Jupyter notebook file. So remember, notebooks. When you hear the word notebook, everything is in one place. That is cool. So it's great for teaching and learning. I don't have to go to like, here's the 3 files, and you got to go here, and then to produce the file, and it's like, where did the graph go? Oh, you got to minimize all your windows. It's somewhere on the screen. No, it's right here. It's in the notebook. So if my in cell said, give me a graph, it will be in the out cell. The out cell will contain your graph. It's that simple. Okay, here we go. So after a while, you want to get pretty good at hitting shortcut keys. The only one you want to learn about first is how to run a cell. Now, we haven't seen it because we don't have the full interface, but way up here in Jupyter Notebook, you'll see a horizontal menu. One of the buttons, it will say run. Okay? When you do run, just say you did the run here. Oh, by the way, your cursor is anywhere in this input cell, anywhere in this into, anywhere. You don't have to highlight it. Your cursor could be at the end. It could be at the beginning. It could be in the middle of this list. It could be anywhere in this cell. When you run a cell, it says, where's the cursor? I'm running that cell. Okay, so it runs this cell. Well, this gets a little boring. Oh, by the way, when you run a cell, it runs the cell. And if it works, it'll produce something for you, and then it'll advance to the next cell below. So when you say run, it'll run the cell that your cursor's in, and if it runs, it will advance to the next cell, regardless if it's blank or not. Now, there's a better way to do this. You can do Shift Enter. So you'll see a lot of people do this. If you're watching my fingers, they'll do Shift Enter, and you say, "Where's my Shift Enter?" Okay, you folks are on a PC. It's Shift. Oh, it's Shift Enter on a or it's Shift Return, depending on what keyboard you have. Shift Enter is the same as Shift Return. You have to hit them both at the same time. So Shift Enter, Shift, just like you do a Shift A. You hit Shift first, Shift Enter, okay, and it will demonstrate it. But there are times when you don't want to advance to the next line. Okay, so say I'm generating a random number. I'll do Control Enter. Then I'll do Control Enter again. It'll run the same cell again. Then I'll do Control Enter again and run the same cell again. But it's random, so it's coming out with different numbers. That's when I do get a random number and I want to say, is it really doing its stuff? I don't know. I might want to run it like 5-6 times just to give me a warm, fuzzy feeling it's doing what I think I want it to do. Okay, well, instead of saying run, move the cursor back, run, move the cursor back, run, move the cursor back. If you're cool, you'll just say, this is the run it. Don't advance to the next cell. So I'll do Control Enter. I like the number. Control Enter. I like that number. Control Enter. Where did that number come from? No, no, my algorithm doesn't work. My thing is not right. So this runs. So this is an advanced topic. Control Enter. Okay. Shift Enter. You'll be doing a lot. Shift Enter. And if you're, there's no equivalent on the left hand key. So if you can't do it with your left hand. Yeah, I know. So here we go. Z. Well, if you just type Z, Python interpreter, remember, it will run whatever the cell is. So if this is a code cell, there are two cells we're going to learn about in this course: code cells or a markdown. So if you ever heard of markdown, yeah, it's that. It's markdown, just where everyone else is marked down. So it's a way to format and typeset stuff. Well, that's not code, right? It's not code, right? Exactly. So the two kind of cells we're going to deal with are code cells or markdown cells. You can't mix them. So if you're a code cell, the next question is, well, what language? Well, it's whatever language you pick. So when you run this cell that looks like just the letter Z, it's going to, the Jupyter Notebook file is going to say, hey, that looks like a code cell. Good. I'm running the code thing. Okay. What language? Python. Python. A Python interpreter. Can you deal with a Z for me? And it says yes or no. Like, I don't know what a Z is. Okay, that's a big one. Or oh yeah, Z. Yeah, that's a variable. Okay, I'm going to give you the value. Z is equal to 100 right now. Sounds good. So remember, code cells, as far as we're concerned, are going to be running Python. It's running the Python interpreter on all the text in this cell. And I know it's only one character. It's only one line, but that's rare. Okay? It's rare that you have a one-line program. It's like a one-line program. Sure. That's what it is. Okay? So, X is 5. Yeah, that's normal boring Python. Assigning a value to a variable is usually done with the equals, the single equal operator. That's called an assignment operator in most languages. Python has truckloads of operators, just like most computer languages. Equal is the assignment operator in Python. Okay, lovely. What's on the right-hand side? When people say right-hand side, left-hand side, you'll see some errors about that. Advanced, when it yells advanced, it'll say, I don't like the right-hand side. Then it says, I don't. So that's saying the right-hand side of the assignment operator. I can't highlight one yet. So it's going to say, oh, I don't understand that 5. The 5. That'll never happen. So what happens is you assigned, you said, I want some memory, put the number 5 in there. And by the way, put the label X on it. Okay, anytime I say X, it says 5. Well, meaning the Python interpreter comes back with 5. Just like normal variables in math. You have variables A, B, C, X, Y. It's not the letter. It's the value behind the letter. Okay? Real big concept. If you're new to programming, you have to get this one. You don't talk about 5s. You talk about the variable. Because, you can use X in lots of places and it keeps giving you back 5. Okay, sounds good. And this is not permanent. We could change it. So here's Y equals 8. And we say print Y. We'll talk about this. This is a little, we got to update that. What kind of data types are there? Big thing. Well, we're data scientists. This is real important. It's important in all languages because why do you have all these different data types? Because each data type has special features. People say, oh, it's only about memory storage. No, it's not. It's not just about memory storage. If I could store something in this much space and you're saying, well, I can put it in this much space. Look, you wasted a huge amount of space. But it doesn't matter. I have lots of memory. Folks, when we do examples, especially early along, we will have, it doesn't matter how you do anything. Doesn't matter how you store things. Doesn't matter how you search things. Doesn't matter how you add or increment things. Doesn't matter how you concatenate things. It just doesn't matter because everything is relatively small. But hey, we're data scientists. We have lots of data. Sometimes if you don't do things right, they won't run on your computer because you don't have enough memory. Let's buy some more memory. You don't have enough money. And by the way, there's not enough space on your desktop, and there's not enough power in your house, in a normal house, to support the amount of memory we need. Oh, you got to do something different. Yeah. You want to reduce the footprint of your data and all this other stuff. So let's just talk about the different data types, saying why are there different data types? All languages have this, and for the same reasons. And it's not just about memory storage. It's about speed of computing. It's about features of the data type that will make your program insanely easy if you can capitalize on it. So, if everything looks, if all you got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Everything is not a nail. But all I got is a hammer. Yes, if all you got is integers, you're going to go around thinking the whole world is integers. No, there's floats. Okay? So, big view of life, integers. Integers are positive and negative, including 0. Okay? Don't worry. Don't fear the 0. Don't fear the negative. Okay? Integer math is way faster than floating point. Now, floating point, all computer people call it floating point. If you're a math person, you'll call them real numbers. Now, real numbers are not totally correct, but it has a decimal part or a fractional part. So you say this is 4.75, and then somebody says no, it's not 4.75. It's 4 3/4. It's the same number. Okay, it has a fractional part or a floating point part, that kind of stuff. Okay, so can you say 11.0? That 11.0 is a floating point number. Well, it looks like an 11. No, an 11 is not equal to an 11.0. Remember that. Okay, Boolean. By the way, there's another these are numbers. Integers and floating points are numbers. If you're into physics or engineering, you might know about this thing called complex. Python natively supports complex data types. Oh, that is cool. But you won't see that in definitely not this course. Very advanced data science. It used it under the covers. So here, don't worry about it. Not in this course. So there's three different kind of numbers in Python: integers, floating point, and complex number types. Okay. In all languages, they have booleans. What are booleans? Boolean is named after some guy, Boole, Charles Boole, and what is it? There's only two. Is true false. Most languages call it true false. And the question: how do you spell it? How do you spell true and how do you spell false? Python spells it this way: capital. The first letter is capitalized or uppercase, and the rest is lowercase. So other languages will have it different. So it answers questions like this: is the sky blue? You got to answer like a lawyer. I don't hate lawyers, but you say yes, no. You don't say, well, it's kind of bluish purple. No, I didn't ask that. I asked, is the sky blue? The answers are only yes or no. Did you clean the dishes? Well, I sort of, no. Did you clean, yes or no? And we're going to, okay. So why do you ask that? You say, here, I don't know where I got Y from, but I'm going to ask if, and most of the people use if, most programming languages use it, you say, if Y is greater than 8. False. Y is not greater than 8. It's 8. It's not greater than 8. So it will answer, and your program will branch depending on how you ask those ifs. And there's if, then, else's, and all that kind of stuff, okay? Can you say things like, if Y is even? However you figure out what is even means. If Y is even. True. That's even. 8 is an even number. Okay, cool. So we'll get into that. And so Booleans are important for branching and what's called conditionals. And conditional. When I put a condition on you, most people phrase it with if. Yeah, that's a condition. As soon as you see if, it's a condition. So what's another data type? Strings, and they're called str in Python. And strings in Python are in single quotes or double quotes. So this George in single quotes is exactly equal to this George. Remember, with exact spelling, upper lowercase matters. It's case sensitive. So that George and that George are the same. Well, wait, that's single quotes and double quotes. Wait, strings are a sequence of characters And it could be spaces, it could be a sentence, it could be the whole Romeo and Juliet play in there, in one monster string of 700,000 characters or whatever. Sure, it's one killer string. String can be anywhere from 0 characters up to, okay, infinity, I'll say it. Can you print them out? Yeah, this is a little wrong, I'll show you. There's some issue about single and double quotes, especially with contractions. When you do contractions, you nest them. Yes. So you know when you want to say I'm fine, you can't put double quotes on the inside outside. You have to do the double quote thing, and there's many other ways to do it. If you're like a person who says I refuse to type a single double quote my entire life, okay, well you'll have to do one of these. A backslash in most computer languages says escape. That's saying that next character is special. So it's not backslash quote. It's going to print that out. So, you know, just be careful when you nest them. Okay. And here's one, you know, somebody said, I want enter to be in double quotes, but I want it to say press enter. Yeah, you got to do it this way. Or do some real weird stuff. Well, that almost is readable. Okay. Sounds good. Strings are a collection of characters or a sequence of characters in quotes. You put them in quotes, that's how you know it's a string. Other languages will have another data type called a character. Python says we don't do that. If you have a single letter, it's still a string. Okay? So, can you do math on strings? Sure. That plus is a concatenation, so it'll say, yeah, it'll do that. Red car. Well, it does red space. See that space there? Car. Red space car with that exact spelling. Okay? So plus is a concatenation thing. Well, it's like, can you concatenate everything? No. So just when you think plus is, I can plus everything. No. So you'll learn that real fast, and you'll try to do it. It'll yell, and you think, oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Don't fear it. Stop memorizing. That's one of my mottos. Stop memorizing. Just get the big flow, especially when you deal with multiple languages. 1 plus 2, I'm not surprised it's 3. Okay? So here's arithmetic operators, these. So, I mean, you can figure out add, subtract, multiply, divide. Wait, where's the divide? Well, here's add, here's subtract, here's multiply. So you can't use X in all computer languages because X is, it could be a variable. We've seen it up there. X is 5. Well, no, you can't use X as multiply. So they decided to pick star. And people, remember, computer people use less syllables. They don't call it asterisk. If you want to call it asterisk, everyone knows. But you know what? We're going to go with less syllables. So don't call that star right there. So add, subtract, multiply. Here's divide. Now note that this is a floating point division. That's floating point division. That's important. So if I do, okay, 7 divided by 2, what's the answer? 7/2. Well, that's 7 divided by 2. That's 3.5. Yes, it's a floating point division. It's going to give you a floating point. It's going to be a decimal in there, like that decimal point. Yeah, because that's its purpose in life, is to do floating point division. Well, there's an integer division. It's called //. 7//2. That's 3. That's 3. You throw away the decimal part. Yeah, 7 divided by 2 is 3. 11 divided by 3 is 2. Wait, 11//3 is 3. So we'll get there. Now there's okay, and the next most obvious one is star. So that's raised something to a power. So if you have 2 raised to the 3 power, that's 2 times 2 times 2. That's 8. Okay, so you do 2 because you know I did an easy one because we're computer guys. You're supposed to do a binary thing. You should know the powers of 2, and more importantly, everyone can multiply by 2 in their head. So 2 raised to the 17th power. You might have to stop and think, but 2 raised to the 3 power is easy. 2 times 2 times 2, 8. Right. Stop doing 2 times 2 times 2 because that you might, yeah. Here's the remainder. Okay, a lot of the languages, and it's called the remainder. But a lot of languages are called the modulus operator, and you hope people call that the modulus operator or the mod operator, and that's their remainder. So 11 mod 11% 3. What's 11 divided by 3? Well, 3, but 2 is left over or remainder. 11 mod 3 will be 2. What's left over? So it's a remainder. Okay. So think of it as remainder. Like do division, but give me the part that's left over. Okay. Yeah, 5 raised to 3. It's 5 times 5 times 5. Yeah, that's easy. That's 125, right? What's equal? Oh, that's a tricky one. Oh, that's not an assignment operator. I thought you said equals was an assignment operator. Yeah, equal says, is it? Oh, is when you do this, when you do equal, it's called a comparison operator or a relational operator. So you're saying, is y equal to 125? Well, yeah, y is equal to, is y equal to 125? Sure it is. Is y equal to 126? No. When you ask questions like is or if, you have to answer yes or no, true or false. But it's kind of, no, I didn't answer, it was close. But 126 is really close. No, we don't care. It's not 125. Oh, I'm sorry, 126 is not 125. Okay? So, what are some other, yeah, a lot of this, yeah. Okay? So, yeah, z plus 5. What's z? What it actually says, Python interpreter and all computer language say, what's the value of z? The value of z is 3. 3 plus 5, 8. Okay? So you can read this all you want, but yeah, lovely. Sometimes, not here, there's only what, like 15 characters here, and you feel like putting that, you really want 2 point, a floating point number 2 times 1.5, that's 2 times 1 point, that's 3 plus 5. So this should be equal to 8 if you actually did it, but for some crazy reason you didn't feel like putting it on one line. There will be often a time where you have to say, you have to split lines. Like this line might be like 190 characters. That's brutal. Split it up by putting a backslash on the end of each line, except that last one. Okay? You say, well, yeah, this example is kind of, no one would ever do this. They would just put that all on one line. Okay? And it follows order of operations, the PEMDAS stuff. Order of operations, normal boring algebra. So it does the multiplication first before the addition. And if you want to override it, just like math, put in a lot of parentheses. That, because you want to override the normal behavior of that. So you put stuff in quotes. So quote Friday quote. Look, that sounds like a string. Sure. Well, what do these square brackets do? Well, you can put a lot of stuff in those square brackets. That's like a part of the string. Now these square brackets, you can apply these a lot of different data types. Right now, you only know about strings that can do this feature. You can say, give me a part of that string Friday. Yeah, give me the index. When people say index, they want a number. They want an integer. So they say, give me the 0th character, capital F. Python starts Python is 0 based. So that's one of the other language questions you have to ask. It's like, hey, when I got a bunch of things, do you start counting at 0 or do you start counting at 1? So Python starts at 0. So if I put a 0 here, if I said quote Friday, quote bracket 0 bracket, out would come the capital F. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I said Friday, in here, and I put a number 5 in here, it'd be the Y would come out. Now that's when you do an index. Now there's also another word you want to pay attention to. It says element. An element is one of the many. Well, one of the many of what? Well, one of the many of characters. Strings have characters. Wait, elements are going to be different. If you have a list of things, each element is one of the parts of the list. I have a list of animals. Crocodile, python, horse. Okay, they look like animals to me. What if I said, that animals list up there? Give me the 0th animal. And it says crocodile. Yes. So element is one piece of the bigger sequence. Well, what's the big sequence? It's a string. What's one piece of it? A letter? Yeah. So here it's an index. And an index is a positive. No, an index is an integer. Okay. So let's look at some examples. We said Friday 3. Okay. Friday, and they read this as sub. All languages call this sub. So it's a string sub 3, or any kind of thing that looks like a sequence of a few data types or sequences. So we want the third element of this sequence. Okay, start at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Little d. Well, yeah, there's only one d. The little d, that one. Okay? Yeah. Start at 0. Yeah, sounds good. Other thing you want to learn about Python, real high level. Remember, we only dealt with like 3 or 4 data types. Right, we'll get there. But there's other things you want to learn. There's another feature of programming languages is I want to write some code. Yeah, I hope you do. But these like 5 lines here, I need to call that thing a lot of times. So you'll sit there and make that a function. Those 5 lines that do something extremely specific and very well. So my classic example is you got to think of functions as something that you can reuse. So you want to rate these functions extremely specific. You don't want to write a function that does 75 things. It's like buying a toaster, microwave, stereo, refrigerator, sink. No, they don't exist. But it's like, who would ever make one of those? No, you buy a toaster because it's ridiculously good at toastering. Yeah, I invented it, right? It's good at toaster. You say, but it doesn't microwave. Yeah, that's right. It doesn't microwave. That toaster function is done very well by that thing over there called a toaster. So you'll call the toaster and you'll bring it out whenever you need it. So it's called reusability. So the big thing is, the classic example I have is, when you reach for a calculator, yeah, here it is. I got to do the square root of 9. I got to the point where I have to know the square root of 9. And that's why it's called a function key, or a mathematical function. You hit square root 9, or 9 square root, depending on your calculator. And out comes the number 3. And then I come back and I say, but how did the square root function work? And your answer should be, I don't care. But you're using something. How do you know it works? Because someone else wrote it, and that's why I use the calculator. I hit the plus function and it does the add thing. I hit the log function and it does the log thing. You treat functions like mathematical functions. You treat the function like a black box. In goes inputs, out come outputs. How does it work inside? No one cares. Please stop worrying about what's in the function. It's like, you don't know when you hit the square root key. You don't know how the square root function works. Most people don't. Stop worrying about every little feature. So what's nice about functions is you package up your code, your few lines of code, or some functions are huge, and it does something well. Almost surely it takes inputs, and almost surely it produces output. But you don't have to know about anything except what's the name of the function, what do you want, what are your inputs, and by the way, what are you giving me back? That's all you need to know. So you'll hear the word black box a lot. And why do you write this? To write is reusable code. So my classic stupid example is, I want to write a function, and it's going to be called, and you do it with def. So Python has, like most languages, well, all languages actually, have special reserved words. But Python calls them keywords. Okay? Now, you saw absolutely none of them. So this is the first one you see, a def. Def defines a function or a method. Just say function for now. It defines a function. But what does a function do? Well, it actually returns something. So now you know about def and return. Here we go. I'm going to write a function called isEven. Ooh, I guess you might figure out what that does. It's going to take in an integer, It's going to do some math, and it's going to return back, yes, true or false. So, and if I say is even 8, this function comes back true. If I say is even 17, this function will do its math, and it'll come back false. No, 17 is even. And a lot of these is functions, there's a bunch of them all over the place. Its goal is to answer true or false. Is prime number. How does that work? I don't know. I don't care. Really, that kind of stuff. All that stuff. Easy. So here we go. So a function is written is a bunch of code for reusability. Okay. And remember that thing up there is a double equal, and that's testing equality. And you could say if A equal 5, it's going to come back true or false. If A equal B, oh, now I got to figure out what A is and figure out what B is. Oh, Python interpreter. Well, how do you say I want them to be not equal? Exclamation point equal? Yeah, that's called bang equals. Unix folks, bang like as an exclamation. So exclamation equal is not equal. Greater than, yeah, you can figure that one out. Less than, sure. And of course, the greater than or equal and the less than or equal to. And there's one more that you'll never see. There's another way to say not equal. You say less than greater than, which is bizarre according to most people. If you see less than greater than next to each other, it's not equal. Yeah. Can you check things out? Yeah, you could logic. Logic is true or false. So it's like this. And if you clean the dishes and sweep the floor, I give you $10. Well, what does and mean? You have to do both. Both of them have to be true. But I cleaned the dishes. No. I said and. You have to do both. Okay, what's the or? I'm giving you a choice. That means any one of them have to be true. If you clean the dishes or sweep the floor. Well, most people are going to pick the one they like or hate the least. Yeah, maybe hate the least. Okay, wait, you did one of them? You're good. Okay? And not is just negate them. If you're not a bad, I don't know if you, not, just not. Okay? And I'm going to just start playing with some stuff, okay? Because you can read this later, and I'll show you some stuff. I invite you to go through this stuff, and we can pick up, and we can always do a session outside of this to learn. And yeah, so I'm going to just do this because I want to show you some, and I'll just minimize it in case we want to go back to it. So here's how you invoke Jupyter Notebook. And by the way, folks, I put a file out there. So if you want to figure out how to do this, I'm looking at my my WhatsApp. Oh my goodness, this is just way too much. So, folks, I'm not going to open up this Jupyter Notebook file right here, the Python crash course. I'm just going to start one from scratch. Okay, but I invite you to go over it. Just run the cells. Just say run. It'll do some things. Run the next one. Run the next one, and it'll jump from one to the top to the bottom by default. But I'm going to sit there. I'm going to show you the one thing I put out there. Okay, here it is. I'm going to push it out here, right here. This is how you run a Jupyter Notebook. When you start it up, RTF is because I jump across multiple operating systems. All operating systems can edit RTFs, like Word. I could stick a picture in there. I could make things bold, underline, and all that stuff. So if you get this file, this Jupyter Notebook file, it's going to go. Okay, I'll just put it in my downloads directory. Okay, sounds good. So it went in my. Okay, there it is, and I'm just showing you this because you don't have to memorize it, and you'll never look at this after you do it like 3 or 4 times. It's like, this is stupid. Yeah, but this is a good thing to start. So I'm gonna look at my downloads directory, and here it is. Sorry. And there it is. And you can see I just downloaded it a second ago. And there it is. Well, let me open it up because this is a preview. It's kind of bogus. So this is how you start a Jupyter Notebook file. Oh, come on. Okay, I'll do it the hard way. 18. Oh, that's plenty good. So here we go, folks. If you're in Windows, there's two ways to start. That's one. There's two. Okay, let me. Okay, here we go. In Windows, if you look at the bottom left of your, if your taskbar is at the bottom of your screen, you look for that Windows icon, the one that looks like four pieces of a flag, sort of, and just type in Anaconda. Just start. You can type ANA and it'll get there. Pick that one, and there. And what you do is you'll have a prompt. It'll come up with a window, and I'll show it to you on a Mac. It'll be the same way. And then the common steps down here are the same. So hold that on. Hold that, and I'll show it to you. It's easy. Windows, here's the alternative. This is a lot faster. I don't have to go clicky. I know this is the alternative, is if you know what you want to run, and it's on your Windows machine. Stop searching 195 applications on your machine. It's horrible. But if you know the thing is Anaconda, I just go in there and click the magnifying glass. So that's the it's on your taskbar right next to the Windows icon, and just type Anaconda prompt or ANA, and it'll start incrementally searching for you. So find the Anaconda prompt, click on it, and same as above. Well, what do? Well, once you get to that window, you type Jupyter Notebook. There are other things that Jupyter Notebook makes. The big one, the new one out there, is a thing called Jupyter Lab. Just no, we're not using Jupyter Lab because most things out there are not being released as Jupyter Lab yet. So, can you type a lot of things on that prompt? Sure. Now, Mac guys, get the Spotlight. That's the equivalent of the magnifying glass. So if you're lazy, you'll hit Command Spacebar like I do. I don't feel like searching for Spotlight. So just like shortcut keys, one of the ones you want to learn about on a Mac is Command Spacebar. That gets you to Spotlight. So you got to get to the terminal. Wait, that's the same thing as the Anaconda prompt. So here I go, folks. I'm going to hit, by the way, you can't see, but I hit Command Spacebar. You Windows guys, type in, go to the magnifying glass on your taskbar, okay? And type Anaconda or ANA and get to the thing that says Anaconda prompt. There might be a few that show up. Don't pick anything except the Anaconda prompt, okay? So here I go. You type Anaconda prompt. You type Anna and just pick the one that says Anaconda prompt, okay? Unless you feel like typing all of that junk. And so I'm going to type I'm going to type terminal on a Mac. I'm going to say, get me the terminal. So when you, on a Windows, when you pick Anaconda prompt, you'll get to this. Okay? You'll get to this. Now, on a Mac, remember the colors, you can change all these colors. Like, how come mine's not white on blue? How come mine's not white on black? How come mine's not green on yellow? It's like somebody could have been playing with your colors on this. This is the command terminal. I'm talking to the operating system. And what does this mean? This means I'm on a home directory of eBoojack. The home directory of eBoojack? You mean the same home directory I was over there? Yeah. So you can type dir if you're Windows. Mac, you do ls and say, wait, look at all these directories. Wait, look at right here, starting up here. There's the Python for Kids. Where's our course? 2021. It's here somewhere. There it is. There's our directory right there. That's our directory. So you want to start using a home directory. It's the idea of a home directory goes across all languages. Lovely. So here you are on the command line prompt or your Anaconda prompt. Type this. So we're right here. We're typing this part right here. Jupyter Notebook is all I'm going to do today. Jupyter, don't type Jupyter. It'll yell, so I don't know what a Jupyter is. Jupyter Notebook. That's how you launch Jupyter Notebook. Now, there's 5, 6, 7 different ways to launch or get to Jupyter Notebook. This is the least memory. I don't feel like launching the navigator, then finding it, then launching it, and say, that took a lot of space. It took a lot of time. It's annoying. So go right to Jupyter Notebook. How do you do it in Windows? Get the Anaconda prompt. Okay? How do you do it in Mac? get to terminal, the terminal, just however you launch terminal. Like if you're in the terminal and you do the terminal thing a lot, you'll make a shortcut to it. If you do the Anaconda prompt a lot, you will make a shortcut in Windows if you're smart, or put it on your taskbar. I don't know. Here we go. So don't worry about this. This will become important later. But wait, this is my home directory. What home directory? user/eboojack or whatever you are. It's like, wow, these things look alike. Yeah, but there's some weird ordering that Jupyter Notebook prefers. It's kind of weird. It's not alphabetical, but it's sort of alphabetical by groups. So where is my 2021? Oh, so this is, I don't want this. I don't want to go to me talking to Jahan. I don't want me talking about pandas, about COVID. No. I want this one. 2021. Why is it so hard to find?
Hey, Ed, sorry for interrupting you. We have 6 more minutes, so you might need to simply stop here and let's give the audience 5 minutes to ask questions and to clear out any doubt.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have a class starting at noon, so we have to jump into it. So we got only 5 minutes. So thank you, Ed, so much. Thank you so much for the great session. Of course, we are gonna do. I promise you guys, we are gonna do more sessions on Python. This could be probably one of the toughest sessions, especially if you join the program with no background. No worries, we are gonna do more sessions on this type, to help you guys just get familiar with Jupyter Notebook, know how to navigate through, how to do some simple coding, and most important, how to read data later, so you can start with analytics. So, Ed, I'm gonna switch to my screen for some announcements. Then we are
Hey, folks, all I did was click on that Jupyter Notebook file, and it's opening it up. And I'm gonna leave it at that, but just go through there and just run each cell, and just you'll learn a lot.
Thank you.
Okay, Mo, you want to take back the screen? Oh wait.
Sure, yes. I'm now. Yeah. So, folks, we have here 58 of you guys have not accepted the invite yet. So please go ahead and do that. And we are going to share the recording shortly on the Canvas and also on the YouTube. So please subscribe to our channel and share the word. I have some good news for you guys. So far we have a story. We are going to share the story on our social media. So far we have more than 250 participants across the globe, from US, from Canada, India, Morocco, from Pakistan, from Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Australia, Kenya, Singapore, Spain, and UAE. And we raised so far over 20,000. Thank you so much for helping the communities. While you are taking the program. The program is free, so please share the word. There are a lot of organizations, they need to raise money. There is a lot of family in needs, they need money. Let's take this an opportunity for us, to learn and support. You learn for free and support, so others will benefit from you financially, and you benefit from us by simply upscaling or improving your skills when it comes to data science. So that's it for today. Let me open the floor. I'm gonna unmute everybody, and let me see if you guys have any question, any concern. We have a couple of minutes to go.
Vikhar here.
Yes.
Vikhar Mohammed here from India. It was really a nice session yesterday and as well as today. We are glad to join these sessions. But in today's session, instead of we going through the navigations and some basic stuffs, it could be a better thing if we could directly jump into the real-time scenarios, as we are now acting as working professionals. So this is my opinion.
Yeah, that is totally understandable, and they have someone already complained about that, and we understand. But the majority of the audience, they joined the program with no background, so we want to make sure that everybody is in the same page. That is the reason why we are doing this. So please bear with us. This is a journey we are going to take for 10 weeks. So we want to make sure that we are all at the same level, so we can benefit from the program.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Where do we? This is Syed. Where do we run this code that we just talked about?
It's
Is this on a
for
command
the
line?
code. So what you have to do is, so you might need to start, go to Anaconda and simply type in Anaconda Jupyter Notebook. This is the way I do it. Type in GUP and run it. It is going to launch a browser, and from the browser you can read all your files. So let me give you an example. Let's say I am now gonna go to simply read a file, desktop. I'm gonna go to BBDS. I'm gonna go, for example, to BBDS 13. Let me go, for example, this is our 30-week program. Let me go, for example, to supervised learning classification, and I'm gonna do decision tree codes.
1 minute.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, 1 minute. So let me I want to show you guys how we can do. You can read the coding. Codes, Python codes. Let's say, for example, ensemble method. Here we go. And now you start. You got the file up and running, and you start playing around it. It's taking a minute to load because it's a huge file. So here we go.
So
you are going to learn this. By the way, you are going to learn this. Towards the end of the program, for those who joined the program with no background, no worries. Towards the end of the program, you will be familiar with most of the functionalities and options available through the Jupyter Notebook, and also you will learn how to analyze your data from zero to hero. Okay.
So the file which you put it on Dropbox, right? That file we are going to explore from this.
Everything is accessible through your Canvas. So number one, you need to accept the invite. Once you accept the invite, you need to create an account using the student option, not the teacher. Then you should be see something similar to this. Go to modules, and you need to go through all the orientation before you have access. Before you have access to the week number 1.
Is there anything that you want us to do during the week?
No, apart from that, you can schedule a one-to-one session with me, and I will be more than happy to go over anything that we covered so far.
Mo, where does the first ever file comes from? I know you pulled up the Jupyter Notebook from an existing file that you already had in your system.
Sister, I barely hear you.
I'm sorry.
No, it's better.
Hello, can you hear me better now?
Yes, it's better. Yes.
Okay, thanks. Where does the first ever file comes from? The one you pulled up was already on your system. I was just wondering, where does the first ever file come from?
All the files, everything that we covered or we are going to cover during the week should be accessed through the training materials from every week.
No, I'm saying within the Jupyter Notebook, the code where the code starts or coding happens. Where does the first ever?
Where do we type it? Where do we type the code?
Yeah.
Okay, so you open. So let me open. I'm going to open a new Jupyter Notebook. So you open a new Jupyter Notebook, and by the way, Jupyter Notebook supports more than 47 programming languages, I believe. I see in mine now. I see R and see Python. When you download Jupyter Notebook, it downloads with the IPython or Python kernel. So if you want to run R or any other languages, you need to install the kernel for that language, and we are going to show you how to do that next time. So simply click a new file, and here we go. So you start and add, cells. So 1 + 1, an example. Run it, and it gives you 2, etc. So unfortunately, we really need to stop here and jump to the other class. So here is the deal. Please schedule a one-to-one session with me, or simply agree on a time in the WhatsApp. Tell me what time best work for you during the week. I will be more than happy to do another 2 hours from, to cover anything, anything you guys have, or any concern, address any concern that you might have in terms of learning a Jupyter Notebook. Okay, just start a conversation on WhatsApp, and we could schedule something next week. Until then, you guys have a great evening, and bye everybody. We need to jump to the other class. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you.
Walaikum assalam.